They said I only need one hand to play, but turns out that's a lie. I need one to guide my guns and one to dry my eyes. Existential dread, depression and loss. I came for the ass, but stayed for the blood. On the surface it looks vapid, but there's more underneath. Amnesia-fueled heartbreak and stray kitties, lies and death and grapes and stairs and art could get me banned if I shared. But in the dark there's light, silent yet strong. Friends and hope and new life, a reason to carry on. Existential dread, depression and loss. I came for the ass, but stayed for the blood. Existential dread, depression and loss. I came for the ass, but stayed for the blood.
Kapla, warriors! Today is a good day for leftover pizza. Love it. Out of context, fortunately, I don't sleepwalk anymore. I did as a child. I even ran up and down the stairs sometimes. Good times. So, anyway, today is sleep and sleep disorders, as well as tips on how to improve your sleep naturally, because I cannot prescribe you drugs or recommend them to you. Medications, prescriptions. That's what I meant. Alrighty, so let's review the schedule before we get started. Zebrin Star. Thank you, Zebrin. Awesome. So that opening song was the lo-fi remix of Stayed for the Plot, because holy cow, did this event have plot. And then there's gonna be, yep, that's right, Argit. That's one thing among many. Roundtable talk preview at the end of stream. So yesterday I did get the voicing finished. So thank you for bearing with me while I saved my voice a little bit. I'm saving my voice for marriage. And then we'll be holding off till Friday to talk more about the event. To give everybody else, I don't want to spoil for anybody. I want to give people plenty of time. Yeah, so no spoilers, Argit. So we want to avoid spoilers. We'll hold off in chat and out loud talking about the event until Friday. So everybody's got a fair amount of time. And thank you to Minecraft Ortiz for following on Twitch. Braven. So, yeah. Don't worry, Braven. This sleep stream will make you feel all better. Okay. And, so, let's review the schedule before we get started. Mondays are gaming. It's Luigi for Halloween, which is finishing up this week, I mean. Tuesdays are ASMR cozy streams. Last night we did Crown's Bond Story, with Chime, of course, and the Buffy the Vampire action figure hand cam in honor of Halloween coming on Friday. I hope you guys, that was probably the highlight of your week. And then Wednesdays our class with Dr. Export. Today is sleep and sleep disorders and how to improve your sleep with real evidence-based. Trust me, I have done my research. These all have evidence behind them. I don't try things if I think they don't have science behind them, unless I'm really desperate. Thursdays gaming with, I was gonna say with Dr. Export, Luigi's Mansion. Finishing that up maybe Thursday, probably not. I'll probably be playing on a Friday too, but on Friday I'll be playing it as Anike. We'll see who. How many hours till Friday in my time? Well, it's 8 p.m. My time, government. Jack Tricks, we will touch on sleep apnea. Unfortunately, you can't really improve that with, without, you gotta get medical intervention for that, because that can be quite serious. So don't just buy some nose strips that you see on TV. You gotta talk to your doctor. And then Out of Context was the first in chat today. It's 8 p.m. on Wednesday, to be clear, government. Out of Context was the first in chat, so Out of Context, do you want me to stay in my teacher outfit? Or do you want to choose one of my other skins? There's Game of Thrones House of the Rose. There's Blue Ninja. There's Absolute Inspired. There's Cow Mono. There's Standard Red Kimono. And there is Pilgrim Hoodie. Up to you. So every day, first in chat gets to pick. That's new. Unless it's someone's birthday. It's after stream starts, whoever chats first. So, don't come here an hour. Well, I guess you couldn't really come here an hour early, but you know. No wrong answer Out of Context. All answers are right. I will give you to 8:06 to decide, and it's okay if you want to stick with the teacher one, if you got a thing for teachers. All right, Out of Context likes the hoodie. Yes, government, that's usually my Wednesday outfit for teaching. But Out of Context has chosen the hoodie. It's Casual Friday. Casual Friday. All right. So, y'all ready for this? Let's get started. All right, so first we're going to talk about normal sleep. So what your brain and body should be doing. Then we'll talk about disorders. So what happens when something goes wrong? Last, we will talk about what you have the power to do to improve your sleep. All right. So, first, circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. That is your body's internal clock. You've probably heard that term before. Anybody not heard that term? Anybody not familiar with circadian rhythm? So, you can't quite see. The sun is up on this side. The sun. Well, Out of Context, I'm qualified to be a professor. I've got, well, not lack of experience, but I mean degree-wise, I'm qualified. Raven, you've not heard of circadian rhythm. All right, perfect. So circadian rhythm is your body's internal clock. So you've probably heard that term, right? Internal clock. So your body receives information and hopefully correctly interprets it, unlike mine, which does not. So in the day, the sunlight tells your brain, so you can see this guy, sunlight goes into your eye, your retina sends that information into your brain and tells you, this is wake time. Then sun goes down, and the light we get from the sun is the blue light. So then at night, sun goes down, so the blue light eventually goes away, and then, so that information goes into your retina and activates the melatonin, so in your brain to tell you it's time to get ready to sleep. Zebra and Star. Yes, so we will talk about that kind of disorder, which I also have. It's not backwards, but mine is not backwards, but it's messed up. Yes, this is called your cerebral clock. Out of Context. No, I should be clear, I made that up. You guys might think it's real because I have, a degree. So, oh yeah, you've heard it like a biological watch, yeah. Melatonin is something a chemical your brain naturally should be starting to release when the sun goes down. And yeah, our brains are essentially in a way solar powered. And so then that tells you, okay, time to get sleepy. time to get ready for bed. So it's kind of like, you know how in the summer when like the sun's still up at 9 p.m. and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then like when the sun's down at 5 p.m., you're like, I feel like I should be in bed, but it's only 5 p.m. If that's happening, your brain is at least partially doing the right thing. Got another great thing here, because circadian rhythm we most think of its the sleep and wake cycles with circadian rhythm, but it also impacts other things. So your cycle, your internal cycle of day and night, sleep and wake, also regulates other physiological and behavioral processes, but we think mostly of the sleep and wake. So you can see, let's see, where's the person waking up? This says bowel movement. They mean bowel movement. So this is like assuming you wake up right around this area, right? You're waking up right around here. And so your blood pressure rises, your melatonin secretion. Wake. Oh, here, this is showing wake up. Wake. And then you're like, and it impacts how your body functions. So you can see it impacts your blood pressure generally. So you can see here, the sunlight is gone down here in the bottom right, so the melatonin secretion is starting. Then, the light's getting bright, melatonin secretion stops. This is a good one too. So this is basically showing how like the blue light from the sun goes in through your retina and inhibits sleep. So it's like, yo, wake up, bitch. Except it doesn't do that to me. There's other things included. So here's the hypothalamus, which has the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So this is the hypothalamus. You got the pineal gland producing the melatonin. And then you've got the moon. It's not technically the moon. The moon just represents night. People who work graveyard shifts, it is very disruptive of sleep. It's not good for your clock, unfortunately. So it's not the moon that stimulates you, to be clear. It's the lack of the sunlight. It's not the moon itself. But that stimulates the melatonin production. So then it's like, bruh, yeah, let's make that melatonin. So, light and dark have the strongest impact on your circadian rhythm, but other things do. Bad news for you down here at the bottom, out of context. So your food intake. When you are eating and what you are eating when, we'll talk about that more, that can impact your sleep. Stress, obviously, everybody knows that. Physical activity, so we'll talk about that as well, but like in general, physical activity is good. Having some physical activity every day is good for sleep, but you don't want to do it too close to bed. Temperature, we'll talk about that. Travel, they're talking about jet lag. Obviously, medications can impact sleep. Some can make you sleepy, some can make your sleep bad. Head or brain health conditions. When I had my concussion, it really messed up my sleep. Mental health conditions, so like PTSD especially, but also like depression, and then, anxiety, stress, and poor sleep habits, and then, graveyard shifts, irregular shifts, all of those can really impact you. They are bad. All right. So your body releases melatonin at night to help you sleep, and then cortisol starts to increase in the morning to help you wake up. Just a sec, guys. Wow. So let's see. She finished it in 17 minutes. So we will talk about sleep cycles. Okay, you guys can see this good enough, I think. Oh my gosh. So every night you go through multiple sleep cycles. And within those cycles are 4 different, this list says 5 different stages. It depends. They're categorized as 4 or 5, but on here you can see 3 and 4 are both the same, and 2 and 3, we'll go over it. We're talking about the same thing. But anyway, so there is REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep. Then there's non-REM sleep, so non-rapid eye movement sleep, which is exactly what it sounds like, basically. One, your eyes are going crazy back and forth, side to side, and the other ones you're not. So each night you go through multiple. So what are these stages? Like I said, sometimes they're numbered differently, depending on which article you see, but it's all essentially the same if you ignore that number thing. So one cycle lasts about 90 minutes, but it varies. It can vary from like 90 to 110, And then you can see as the night goes on, one full cycle, they tend to vary in length. You can see in length. You can see the first cycle is usually the longest, and then they get shorter. And then, yeah, Adam, absolutely. You can't make up for that easily. It takes, studies vary, but they say it can take you anywhere from like 3 to 9 days. Yeah, out of context. This person's getting a full 5 cycles and waking up at the optimum time. What a jerk. So, the first phase, and this one they just refer to it as wake. Some will refer to it as stage 1. It depends. Is when you're awake, but you're in bed. So this is you're transitioning from awake to sleep. You're laying in bed. For people without a disorder, this should happen fairly quickly and easily. I think many of us here do not have that luxury. I certainly do not. So, that should happen quickly and easily. Your body should be relaxing and everything should slow down. Your heart rate should slow down. Your breathing should slow down. This is not right, actually. I'm just noticing. This chart's whack. Here we go. That chart was not quite right. The order was wrong on it, I'm realizing. I just liked it because it was showing... I chose this one because it was showing multiple cycles, but it's actually wrong. You don't go straight from wake into REM. So then there's light sleep. So it can be categorized into 2 stages. Phase 1, light sleep. Phase 2, stage 2, light sleep. But they're both light sleep. And they're non-rapid eye movement. You didn't miss too much yet, Aramis. So just make sure you know what circadian rhythm is. So during light sleep, your eye movement stops, your body temperature drops, and you can usually be awoken pretty easily. You know, this is when you've dozed off, but you know, if there's a loud noise, you can get woken up. And then usually this stage gets shorter each cycle throughout the night, unless you're export, in which case you get hella light sleep. Then there is stage 3 and 4, which is deep sleep. This is very important for body restoration. So like your bones and your muscles and stuff. So your brain waves slow and your breathing and your heart rate are at their lowest. They will be in the cycle. This is deep sleep, and it's the restorative sleep that helps you wake feeling refreshed. And it's very important. Like it says at the bottom, older people tend to get less deep sleep, which is not really a great thing. It's important for your body to feel rested and to just restore everything. Like I said, your bones and your muscles. I think even your metabolism. And then, and some dreaming can happen in here, but most dreaming happens in REM sleep, or REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep. And this is when your eyes, so you can see this if you see someone sleeping and they're dreaming, you know? You see their eyes are going side to side, right? Very fast. And your brain activity spikes. So what's amazing about like human sleep, and I don't know if it's the same in other animals, but with human sleep at least, when we're in our REM, our brain is almost as active as it is when we're awake. Oh my God, the dog. And so it's pretty crazy. So then your breathing increases, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases because your brain is super active then. And this is when your vivid dreams occur and your muscles are temporarily paralyzed, which is a good thing because if your muscles weren't paralyzed, you might act out your dreams, which is a type of disorder. You're not supposed to do that. So if you're acting out your dreams, there's a disruption in that paralysis that should be happening of your muscles, which would be a type of parasomnia. And REM sleep is when learning and memory consolidation take place. And it's about 25% of a sleep cycle. It's very important. The end of REM is the best time to wake up because you will have just finished your full sleep cycle and be all refreshed and ready to wake up. So, ideally, So ideally you want to wake up at the end so you can see, what the fudge? Slow wave sleep. Oh, where's REM on here? Oh. REM, there, okay. So ideally it's like, there, I'm in REM, and then ignore the second cycle. You wake up. That would be perfect. I don't know how many of us that happens for. And then you got the dog. Dog is like, wee. I just thought it was funny that they were comparing a human and a dog. Their cycles are obviously much shorter. Alright. Let's see. There was a picture I had. Ah, here's some more. This is some more stuff about sleep in the brain, some more of the areas involved. So we talked about the SCN, which is in the hypothalamus. And that is important for the receiving the information about the light exposure. And then there's the brain stem and the thalamus. Oh, here, let me zoom in for y'all, gosh. Whoa. So there's all these parts. Very important, but that's actually not the one I wanted. Ooh, so here's one about how your sleep impacts your brain. So sleep is really important. So I'm sure you've all noticed if you're not sleeping well, these things are impacted, right? So sleep is important for organizing new information, solidifying your memories. That's important. That's part of a lot of these things here happen during REM sleep. Clearing out harmful toxins, leading to creative thinking, regulates your appetite because it's all part of that whole rhythm of your body. More efficient thought processes and keeps your body healthy, especially that REM and the slow wave sleep. And then also, I found a cool picture. This picture is cool. So what this picture is showing is in REM sleep, there was a study that found... Oh, hey, congrats to Jospert for a 10-stream streak. That was hard to say. 10-stream streak. So there was one study that was really cool. I think it was fairly recent, where they looked at the brain during REM sleep, and they found, like, the blood flow reduced into the brain, and then it was washed with increased cerebrospinal fluid. Sorry. So it was kind of like, it seems like at night, your brain gets like rinsed out with the cerebrospinal fluid, which maybe like clears out some of those toxins and stuff. So that's pretty cool. The rhythm of the night. That's funny, Braven. Oops. All right. Let's see. So just last thing I want to say about that. So an adult should get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, or another way to think of it is 5 to 6 sleep cycles. So that is very important. Theoretically, you can try to plan your sleep around the length of sleep cycles. That's a little tricky because it requires some guesswork. Yes, Oval, we'll talk about that some more. But yeah, there is a stage where your muscles are supposed to be paralyzed, which is REM. But then there's parasomnias, which we're not entirely certain why those occur, but basically that's when your muscles are supposed to be paralyzed, but then you get kind of stuck between into this like a sleep/awake thing, which causes sleep paralysis, which essentially like a dream or hallucination, but it's very terrifying because your body is indeed paralyzed. All right. Wait, I was saying something. Shoot. Oh, so theoretically, you can plan your night of sleep, like when you go to bed and when you, like, based on when you want to wake up and then count backwards with sleep cycles, assuming they're 90 minutes. However, that's it's good in theory, but the problem is your sleep cycles are not perfect like that. But you can play around with it and see how it goes. I've been trying that, and I do think it helped me a little bit. Braven, yikes. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. How many hours do you sleep each night on average? Yeah, Adam. I mean, I think part of the reason it's so scary is because, like, your muscles really are temporarily paralyzed, but you don't realize you're asleep, right? And so it's really disturbing. Okay. Sleep disorders. So there's a whole bunch of kinds of sleep disorders. So we'll touch on a lot of them, including the ones that I have. Wow, that looks like something else. I'm just noticing. Oh my god. I'm gonna move off of that one. Yikes. Oh my god. Wait. You don't think you've slept more than 5 hours consecutive, Aramis? Yikes. You need to stay tuned for the, improving strategies. Although, you know, some things are, of course, out of your control. Okay, so some common types, and we'll talk more about these. Insomnia, of course, everybody knows. Insomnia is difficulty with the quality or the quantity of sleep, or difficulty falling or staying asleep, or also waking up too early. So insomnia, I believe is the most common. There's also sleep apnea, which can be very serious. So if you do have sleep apnea, don't mess around with that. It can be extremely serious because with sleep apnea, what happens is your body stops breathing temporarily. I believe it's for like at least 10 seconds or something. And that can be extremely dangerous. If this is happening a lot. And so people usually you get a sleep study to diagnose that officially, and then you have the pleasure of wearing a CPAP machine, but hey, it's better than dying. Hypersomnia is a broad category that we'll talk about more. And that's basically when you're consistently in bed for a solid amount of time, but you are still exhausted. That's not too bad, Braven. You might have slightly lower sleep needs. If you're feeling rested, then you're probably good. Narcolepsy, I think most people have heard of. That's when generally speaking, that's when you have the sleep attacks. So you're just going about your day and you fall asleep. And then you're up again later. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Jack Tricks. I could understand that. I've never used one, but I've seen them. And then there's parasomnia, which is also a very broad category that we'll talk about more, which is any abnormal or unusual behavior during sleep, so that can include sleepwalking, or someone mentioned sleep paralysis. Here's some more. Okay. This one's better. Okay. So I want to talk about insomnia first. I'm going to go back to this one. Okay, so talking more about insomnia. So insomnia can range from minor to severe, and it can be acute or short-term, or chronic or long-term. And there's different forms of insomnia that are categorized based on when the sleep trouble is occurring. And you might have, theoretically more than one. So you could have difficulty falling asleep, which would be called initial insomnia, because it's the beginning of the night. You could have difficulty staying asleep, so you're waking up, which would be called middle or maintenance insomnia. Or you could be waking up early in the morning. Let's say you go to bed at 10 p.m., but you wake up at 2 a.m., you can't fall back asleep. That would be called late insomnia because it's happening late in your sleep. Not your cycle, but your night of sleep. Well, I'm going to pull my hair back. Oh, yeah. That sounds like... Yeah, Mask of Eyes, we'll talk about that more because I have a nightmare disorder. You might be having sleep terrors and or a nightmare disorder if that's happening a lot. So, insomnia... chronic insomnia is... Wait, I thought I wrote... Where's my note about that? There it is. Okay, so chronic insomnia. So you can have acute or short-term insomnia. So that might happen like... Let's say you went on a trip out of town and you got back and it threw off your sleep. Or, sometimes it'll happen with like daylight saving time, or maybe you're going through a stressful period at work. So that would be short-term insomnia. But you could have also chronic insomnia. So the diagnostic criteria for that would include happening at least 3 nights a week for at least 3 months. And it is happening outside of other causes. So it's primary insomnia. So it's not caused by travel or change in seasons or change in your work schedule, stress at work. It's not caused by you not making time to sleep or you having too much light in your bedroom. It's not caused by medication. It's just happening for no good reason, essentially. Well, the reason's your brain. So at least 3 times a week for at least 3 months, and that's chronic insomnia. So, some causes. We don't know for sure. These are generally causes of sleep disorders in general, not just insomnia. Genetics. Some sleep disorders do run in families. brain differences. This is kind of theoretical. They don't know for sure yet, but it seems like some brains might be more active. Some brains might have different brain chemistry. And we will touch on how people with ADHD and autism are much more likely to have a sleep disorder, which makes you wonder how that's tied into the different brain anatomy and physiology and function. There's also medical conditions, some scary ones like Parkinson's. Life circumstances, like there can be, you know, if you, irregular work schedule, you know, if you're working, like people who work, like, I don't know, I think there's some people who like work at hospitals and they have to like do the night shift at sometimes, like that's gonna mess you up. Oh, real Varlene, no, that's nice you were able to, have a solution, because I knew someone who, even after having like their adenoids and their tonsils and that, they still didn't, they still had apnea, but I don't know that they ever had their nose operated on. And then there's, of course, habits and lifestyle, which we will talk about how to fix those, because if you're just not having good, quote, sleep hygiene, that's something you can control and improve. All right. Let's talk about some parasomnias. There's a whole bunch. So here, number 4. So there's sleep terrors and nightmare disorder, which are similar but different. Kaiser, yes, it also applies to people with ADD. I believe ADD now falls into the category of ADHD. I could be wrong. I thought that was a change they made, but I could be wrong. It's still, you know, just they change the categorizations from times to times. You can see this lovely sleep paralysis demon. So sleep terrors are different from... Oh, thanks, the real Varlene, for the bits. The difference between the night terrors and the nightmares are the night terrors typically involve, like, you wake up screaming kind of thing. Like, you wake up screaming and sweating. Whereas the nightmares, they're disruptive, but you usually, like, stay more asleep. You can kind of know what I mean? So they're similar, but distinct. Sleepwalking, aka somnambulism. Much more common in children. Braven, that's really good. I'll do that one at the end. That's funny. Much more common in children. Parasomnias in general are much more common in children. And it's believed it's related to just their developing brain and their cycles and circadian rhythm, you know, still being in development kind of thing. Confusional arousal, which sounds dirty, but it's not. It's just when you wake up and you don't know where you are. And you're like, where am I? What's going on? Sleep-related eating disorder. So you guys ever heard of, like, there's this thing where someone will, like, wake up, like, you might have seen it in, like, a sitcom, but it's actually real, where people will wake up and go into their kitchen and just, like, eat a bunch of food, and then go back to sleep. So they might not even know they're doing it. And then, Mask of Eyes, yeah, so you might be having nightmares then, which are no more pleasant. There's nightmare disorder, which we'll talk about a little more. Recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, which is, I think a lot of people get sleep paralysis from time to time maybe, but this is like it's happening consistently. There's a REM sleep behavior disorder, which is what, like I was saying, so in a REM sleep behavior disorder, one of those would be like you're acting out your dreams. So your muscles are supposed to be paralyzed, but if you have this disorder, you're acting out your dreams. So I used to do this. Like, I would be, like, petting cats, then punching bad guys. Like, I didn't do it a lot, but I did do it pretty consistently. Exploding head syndrome. I've never experienced this, thank goodness, but apparently it's like where you're, like, when you're falling asleep. You know how sometimes when you're falling asleep and you think you're falling? It's kind of like that, but instead of the falling thing, you think you're hearing a loud bang? Super weird. And yeah, I know you're right, Braven. It's just which way do you hear it most often? Sleep enuresis, which would be bedwetting. Sleep-related hallucinations, which I have also had. Sleep-related groaning. I have not. I don't know about that. Oh, thanks again, the real Varlene. Oh, I need a sip of water. Him. And then there's sexsomnia, which is like sleepwalking, except you're doing that 3-letter word. Or trying to, which obviously, that's a real thing. And the person is asleep. They don't know they're doing this. So that's unfortunate. Let's see. So sleep apnea. There's sleep-related breathing disorders. So there's different types of sleep apnea. They have different causes. So I believe like central sleep apnea is related to like your brain versus obstructive is related to like who was it? They said they had the nose surgery. So that's because something is obstructing it. Sometimes people have their tonsils or their adenoids removed to try to help that. All right. Let's see. There's also periodic limb movement disorder. Restless leg syndrome. So these are both where you're moving around, but they have different distinct characteristics. Sorry, my vocal folds are bothering me. And then narcolepsy, which we talked about a little, and cataplexy, which usually goes with narcolepsy. My throat. Okay. We will talk a little bit about narcolepsy types because we're going to talk about some of my diagnoses because I have them all. Okay, so when I was 14, I started having sleep attacks. So I would just I would start to feel it come on, like a switch was flipped in my brain, and I would try my absolute freaking hardest to stop it, but I couldn't. Like, have a friend slap me in the face, splash my face with water, eat a snack, jumping jacks, stab myself with a pen. I tried everything. But I would have the sleep attack. And I was also exhausted during the day. I'd have multiple sleep attacks a day. If I had a nap, it could last anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. It sucked. I have not had that in several years. So fingers crossed, I am cured, which I have a theory about. But there's a small chance that's not true. Small chance. So originally, I was diagnosed with narcolepsy. I think they diagnosed me with... I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I don't even know if they had those categories at the time. These are more recent, I think. Let me see. So yeah. See, the problem is, they diagnosed me with narcolepsy, but years later, I found out I actually did not precisely meet the criteria. For example, you can see here under narcolepsy type 1, it says daytime naps are brief and refreshing. That, as I said, was not the case. They were long and unrefreshing. So, let's see, narcolepsy diagnosis, I want to say I was 15. Several years later, I think I was 20. They said it is actually idiopathic hypersomnia. And at first I was kind of pissed off because I was like, I got used to this diagnosis. What is this shit? But then I Googled it and I was like, okay, that actually matches way better. Except what does the X mean? Well, okay, see, again, it didn't stop. It didn't fit perfectly, though, because I do have disrupted nighttime sleep. So, I didn't perfectly fit anything. I was a freaking mess. Whoa, sorry, guys. Wrong direction. So, yeah. How much... Braven, yes, some of it was changed over the years. Yes, you are correct. I think at the time I got the narcolepsy diagnosis, I'm not sure idiopathic hypersomnia was something that was typically getting diagnosed. So yeah, you're right, Braven. So, originally diagnosed with narcolepsy, later diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia. Then, here's another example. It's just the same. Here's this one. But where's... okay. Now, here's my theory as to why it went away. I still have the excessive daytime sleeping. I still have all kinds of effed up sleep. But that's because of my other disorders. Here's my theory as to why it went away. There's primary and secondary hypersomnia. So primary means you have it, but it's not caused by something else. So this would be narcolepsy. I don't know what Klein-Levin syndrome is. Idiopathic hypersomnia. So you just have it all by itself. Secondary means it's caused by another condition. So, I believe what appeared to be narcolepsy or idiopathic hypersomnia was hypersomnia secondary to PTSD. Yes, Braven. My, this theory, is this the one you mean? Because, yes, there's strong support for this theory. Especially around the timing of when the symptoms started. The onset. So, theory is, my hypersomnia was secondary to acute post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think a neurologist or psychologist or both would agree with me. But unfortunately, none of the ones I ever saw in my youth knew about the PTSD because you keep secrets. That's how you do in a dysfunctional family. All right. Well, I'll talk about some of my other sleep disorders as well, because I don't want to leave them out. That's just mean. So, additional sleep disorders that I have. Nightmare disorder. So that is when you are having frequent, disturbing, vivid nightmares that impact your daily functioning and quality of sleep. So, like, everybody has nightmares occasionally, right? So people like me, I have nightmares every single night for as long as I remember. Braven, I said acute, right? You're just making a joke. I hope that's the case. So I have nightmares every night for basically infancy. They are vivid and very disturbing, and I remember them very well. Oh, thank God, Braven. I was like, And I remember them very well. Let me think of a good one that I can tell you. So one that I recurringly have is where I've had some kind of like serious like mortal wound, or like, for example, there's glass shattered and it's in my skin, and I'm trying to like pull out all the shattered glass, but there's more and there's more, and I'm bleeding out, and I'm begging people for help. Please take me to the hospital, but they won't help me, and I'm trying to get my mom to help me, and she's like, no, you're fine. And I'm trying, but I'm slowly fading out, and I'm dying, and I'm like, no, please help me. That one's not so bad. One of my recurring dreams includes a worm or a parasite. And it's coming out of different places in my body. We'll go with the nose this time. So there's like a worm or a parasite inside me, and I'm trying to pull it out of my nose. It's sticking out, so I pull it, and you have to pull slow but steady, because if it breaks, it's going to back up into my nose. So I have to pull slow but steady. But it keeps coming, and it keeps coming, and it just keeps coming. Or there's another one where there's like tons of them, so I pull one out, and then I'm like, oh God, what do I do with this? So I just throw it to the side, and then I'm like, oh no, it's going to infect other people. But there's more, so I pull another one out, and I throw it to the side, and I'm like, oh no, I'm spreading it. So yeah. So that's every night. I do not enjoy it. And then I also have circadian rhythm disorder, which, here we go. Circadian rhythm disorders. So, the one I have, delayed sleep. I think this is not what they called it, but I think this is what it, I think maybe there's some different wording choices. Delayed sleep syndrome, it's called, on my diagnostic paperwork it says sleep phase delay, but this is the same thing, delayed sleep syndrome. So your environment, your circadian rhythm, of course, is your clock. Kaiser, your clock. Your clock, your internal clock, right? So it should be getting the cues from the daytime light and the nighttime lack of light, right? But if you have a disorder, your natural rhythm, your body's rhythm is disrupted and is not following that light and dark that it should be following. So, in my case, I have sleep phase delay, so I'm not going into the sleep phases as I should and in the right amounts, and then so I wake up exhausted. So circadian, oh yeah, you Zebrin. So there's different kinds. I have sleep phase delay. There's advanced sleep-wake phase disorder. I think that means when you're waking too early. There's several different kinds though. And they all fall into that category of where your body's rhythm is disrupted from the day, basically, from the world's rhythm. Oh geez, Mask of Seven Eyes. That's pretty bad. You might track, they might be worth tracking and kind of seeing how often you're having them. Maybe rating how bad it is. Yeah, Zebrin, it might be worth it if it's impacting your life a lot. We'll talk about sleep studies because I got some picks for y'all. Let's see. Then I also have, my studies have found I do not get sufficient delta wave sleep. So this one here, stages 3 and 4. I am not spending as much time as I should in these stages. Should be like 13 to 25%, and I am getting significantly less than that most of the time. Yeah, Jack Trick's sleep studies suck, but they are necessary for the data. And so I have that as well. And then the last thing I have, I actually didn't even know. I was looking at my diagnostic paperwork and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know I had this. I mean, I did, but I didn't know it was an actual, had a name. I thought he was just like something, I thought he was just being like, oh, by the way, you're doing this. Shit, where'd it go? Periodic limb movement disorder. So I be thrashing around like crazy. But it's not just my legs, so it's not like restless limbs. It's restless leg. It's like my whole body be thrashing. Oh, Kaiser, that's awful. Zebrin, you almost made me spit out the water when I got to the part about the cat. Oh, hold on. Dang it. Okay. We're gonna move on. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Causes of sleep disorders. So, neurochemical imbalances, sleep pathways interfering with wake. I don't know what the fuck that means. Genetic factors, medication side effect, substance use before bedtime. So, like alcohol can mess with your brain's natural rhythm. Working the night shift. Medical conditions. So, if you're having sleep that's not normal and it's been going on for a while, it's worth mentioning to your doctor because worst case, it could be something like that. It's not likely, but it could be. We're all pretty young. And then, of course, mental health problems, disorders can cause that. Then also, I included this because I think there's a good number of us here who have ADHD and or autism. So you can see here, sleep disordered breathing and sleep apnea are more common, up to 83. So this number says 83, but you'll see a lot of different numbers. They're all high, though, long story short. The number of people with ADHD who experience sleep problems varies based on like the study or the survey, but it's all high. Melatonin disruption, which obviously impacts that whole circadian, it's related to the circadian rhythm dysregulation. Restless leg syndrome, we're like, oh, good night, the real Varlene, thanks for joining and thanks for the bits. And then interestingly, adults with narcolepsy are twice as likely to have ADHD. Makes you wonder, right? And then autism as well. Increased prevalence of insomnia. Excuse me. Higher rates of parasomnias. So sleep terror, sleepwalking, sleep paralysis. Increased sleep disorder likelihood. Melatonin disruption. So a lot of similar, but... So autism and ADHD both have sleep problems, but there are some differences. And then there's those of us who have both, and we're just, you know, woohoo! Why not both? All right. How can you improve your sleep? Okay, so obviously you can talk to your doctor. They might prescribe you from some medications or others, but there's a lot of things within your power. Everything I'm mentioning here does have science behind it. I'm not telling you, like, this isn't Gwyneth Paltrow stuff. I'm not like, hey... if you stick this jade egg in your privates, then you'll sleep better. Like, no, none of that. All right. So, one of the most important things you can do is have a consistent sleep and wake time. Actually, I had a picture. These are probably all... Okay. This has a diaper on it because it's for children, but I included it anyway because it's literally the same for adults, minus the diaper and the bottle. But the concept is the same. Zebrin, that's a real thing she did, except it wasn't for sleep. I don't know what she said it was for. No, Gamma, that's real. Google it. Google Gwyneth Paltrow jade egg. You will not be disappointed. Okay, so having a consistent time that you go to bed and you wake up. I am like crazy diligent about that. Like I am on the dot in my bed. I might not be asleep, but I'm trying. It's very important because you're trying to train your brain, essentially. God, what commercial was that? Retrain your brain. This is all about telling your brain it is time for sleep. Because if you have a sleep disorder, you likely have, especially, insomnia or circadian rhythm disorder, you likely have an issue where your brain is not getting sufficient signal that it's time to sleep or wake. Jack tricks, yes, exactly. And so it's really important, go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, and even better, do the same pattern of steps every night. I was really good about this for a while until, I don't know why I stopped. I think I went out of town and then I entered the eating disorder problem and I got all whack. Yes, the rituals, exactly. It's very important. Have a ritual. So if you're a baby, that might be bath time to soothe your nervous system. Change your diaper so you're nice and clean. Have a bottle, although depending on the baby's age, you shouldn't do the bottle anymore. Read a book, or is that lights out? And then music. And then I did get an adult one too, just so it was more applicable. So this is a perfect example. This is if you're really, really struggling, Oval, I would say start small and be consistent. Just add one thing that you do every night before you go to bed. Like for me, it was brushing my hair, and then I've built backwards from there. So build yourself this routine. So this is an extended one, but extended is better. So setting your morning alarm, writing your to-do list, get those things out of your head, have a warm shower or bath, drink something warm and read, meditate, lights out. So choose calming things and do them the same every night. Try to do the same pattern. Have your ritual. It really is scientifically backed because you're trying to train your brain. Be like, yo, brain, it is time to sleep. We are not messing around. We are going to sleep. Or you could be gentle, but that's more how I talk to myself. And then, so basically create this wind down period for yourself. I have incorporated stretching. Stretching is one I find very calming. We'll talk more about some of those good wind down activities. Other things, your sleep environment is very important. I got blackout curtains. That did help. I noticed a difference. Because your room needs to be as dark as possible because humans did not used to have light except for, I guess, when we mastered fire. So your brain needs the pitch black, pure darkness as much as possible. Blackout curtains are pretty cheap. And since I live in an apartment, I just got a tension rod. So there's a little bit of light that peeks in at the top, but it really helps. Yeah, Andrew's got it. But if you have a disorder, extending it more is better. Like, make it 2 hours. And you don't have to be, just doing, things you don't like for 2 hours, but really cue your brain in. So as dark as possible is important. If you need a nightlight or something, Braven, that's okay. Just try to keep it as minimal as you're comfortable with. And then also, research shows that people sleep better in a colder room. So ideally in the 60s. Having your room on the colder side consistently, research has found that helps people sleep better. So keep the room cooler. I like to, for as much as the year as possible, I keep the WINDOW open to make sure it stays nice and cool. And then keep the room as quiet as possible as well, aside from any sleep sounds that you use. So if you use white noise or some kind of music, sleep music, then that's clear. And then, okay. Also, like we talked about before, regularly exercising can support your circadian rhythm. So I don't mean you have to go lift weights or run a marathon every day, but just a short walk every day, 20-minute walk every day, not too close to bedtime, can help support your circadian rhythm. Most of the time, you don't want to do it too close to bedtime because that can increase wakefulness. And then, yeah, ASMR for white noise. That's good. Doesn't have to be 20 minutes, Braven. Even just some stretching during the day. Another really important thing, light. So, as soon as possible, when you wake up, get sunlight on your face. Get real sunlight on your face. So, you wake up, you go out, open the freaking blinds, get that light on your face. It's very important because as we learned, that information from that light goes into your retina. It's going to suppress the melatonin and increase your wakefulness. So if you have trouble with being alert in the morning, get that light on your face. Ideally you would go outside, but that's not necessarily an option. So just get some light, natural light on your face. Then, at least 90 minutes before bedtime, reduce your blue light. Some of you are already talking about this. So blue light equals sun to your brain. So start reducing your blue light at least 90 minutes before bedtime. So let me show you some stuff that I use. I don't think these are the exact ones I use, but this is a type. So I use amber glasses because I have a circadian rhythm disorder. So these are amber glasses. So these, I put these on, like if let's say I'm going to bed at 10, I'm going to put these on right after stream because I go to bed by 11. So I put these on at 9. And the ones I have, I believe block out 100% of blue light. So that will naturally increase your melatonin. Oh, I look wicked cool, Braven. So it naturally increases your melatonin in your body, like in your brain. It naturally encourages your brain to produce melatonin, which can help you get sleepy. And if you're still so ideally, don't use your screen, like don't watch TV, iPad, phone at all before 90 minutes before bed. Most of us are not going to follow that. In an ideal world, 90 minutes before bed, you would stop all screen use. I'm not going to do that. So second best, my amber glasses. Next, I do this. This might be the exact light that I use. I use a therapy light in the mornings. I had to stop for a long time because of the concussion. It really screwed up. For some reason, the concussion made me have a really bad reaction to my light. Well, I mean, I know you're supposed to avoid bright lights, but it lasted for like months, this reaction is what I mean. So, I use this for, I can't remember if it's 20 or 30 minutes in the morning. If you get one of these, you do not want to overuse them because that will mess up your cycle as well, your rhythm as well. So don't use them more than it says in the instructions, and I think the max is 30. So this is supposed to be shining at the right angle into your eyes, so it mimics the sunlight and it's giving you extra. So it's like sunlight the shit out of this lady. So every night I do my nighttime anti-blue light and I do my morning extra blue light. I need to get back into that though. I got out of it mostly because of the concussion actually was like the main disrupting factor. Jack tricks. So yes, there are blue light filters for phones. The glasses are more effective, I will say that. Some apps you can buy. Some apps have them built in. I've noticed it depends on your phone. I noticed with my Android, the night shift was like extensive like this. iPhones don't seem to do as much of the sleep, of the light, the blue light filter. So I don't know. But apparently I read this one thing that said it was like up to 80% of it. So at the very least, use your blue light filter that's built into your phone. If you need more, use the app, buy an app, or I had a free app. I think the one I used before was free. Sorry, there's helicopter. What the fudge? Or get some glasses. They're cheap. They're not expensive. Just don't break them. All right, continuing. Other things to help you fall asleep. Okay. So, Some things you can do before bed or when you're in bed would be mindfulness. Now, I know you probably... Okay, I see that anxiety is spelled wrong, but this is the image I chose, and I'm sticking with it. Mindfulness. I know it sounds like BS, and you probably hear it all the time, and it sounds very Gwyneth Paltrow-y. But there is real science behind mindfulness, and there are many kinds of mindfulness. If you've tried it before and haven't liked it, there's probably a different kind you will like. For example, the kind of mindfulness I like to do when I'm having trouble sleeping, I go through the alphabet A through Z, and I think of as many Star Trek species I can for each letter. So A, Andorian. I try to think of at least one for each letter. I think the only one I haven't succeeded with is X. I'm pretty sure... Wait, no, but I think... Wait, what was the one the other day? Oh my god, no, I'm pretty sure I found an X one. Just the other day. In Voyager. Anyway, so that's one of the mindfulnesses I like to use. So there's a million different types, and chances are you'll find one that you like. There's some I've tried that I straight up hate. Like body scanning. I do not like it. It makes me feel more anxious. That's when you like... Or like progressive body relaxation. That's where you scrunch your toes really hard, then you release them. Then you scrunch your calves really hard and you release them, and you move up through your body. That one doesn't work great for me. Stresses me out. Or I cramp. So there's... If you've tried one before and hated it, I encourage you to try for more. Try different ones, because there's probably one that you'll like. And hey, it could be a Nikke one. You could see how many Nikke characters you could add. You could name. It'll work. Hey, Shadow Wolf Pack Leader. So, improved sleep. That's what we're going for. Because the goal is to relax your body. Try to not clear your mind completely, but slow it down, you know? Zooba-dooby. I do stretching before bed. This is impossible to read. I do stretching before bed, as part of my nightly wind down, and I do find if you're like, I make sure not to use my phone while I'm doing this, and I have my glasses on, but I do some stretching. So I'll usually do this one, Child's Pose. I'll do Cobra. I do whatever the fudge that is. I don't do all these, but I do a handful. I have a flow, and I always do them in the same order. And, oh, thanks, Zebrin, for gifting 5 subs. Thank you so much. Oh, Zebrin's heading out, too. Thanks, Zebrin. Have a good night. I'm sorry you're going... Well, I guess you're going to work, so not a good night. But have a good work day. So, yeah, part of my whole thing is, like, I do my skin... I get my glasses... Do my skin routine. I get my glasses on. I do my stretching. I brush my hair. I get in bed and read. And then lights out. So that is my routine. Other things that can help you fall asleep. There are numerous teas that actually do have some research behind them to support their effectiveness for calming. Chamomile is one of the number ones. Personally, I want some catnip tea. See how my cat feels about that. Chamomile tea is one of the most well-known ones that can help calm your body. So if you like tea, that can be helpful. And there's some good blends, too. Like, you can probably find, like, a lavender and valerian root is a common combination. So adding that to your night ritual could be helpful to get your body calm. Because it's all about increasing those sleep signals to your brain. I believe the word is Zeitgeibers is one of the terms. Zeitgeibers. There's also, if you're someone who likes scents... there are some scents that are proven to support or have evidence behind them for supporting calming. I would love to do an essential oil diffuser because I find scent very calming and I think it would help me calm down a lot. However, warning, there is no essential oil that is 100% safe for cats. Not great for dogs, but even worse for cats. So be cautious. My cat sleeps on/with me. So that is the reason I have not done essential oils, although I think it would help me a lot to do a diffuser. I think that would calm me down. So if you're someone, I am sensory seeking for olfactory input, but my cat forbids it. As I said, there's foods. So these foods close to bedtime can impact your sleep. That doesn't mean don't ever have these foods, but close to bedtime. So like greasy or fatty foods close to bedtime, because, you know, that impacts like your digestion and everything. Spicy foods, alcohol, caffeine. They put coffee, but just caffeine in general. Right, Gamma? I know. I want to do a lavender diffuser so bad because I know that would put me to sleep, or it would help. And so these foods close to bed are not ideal. There's a variety of foods that theoretically have sleep-inducing properties. So one that's not on here, pumpkin seeds. I believe pumpkin seeds naturally have magnesium, which can support sleep. Tart cherries have, I want to say naturally have melatonin or magnesium. Can't remember which. So there are some foods you could have those part of your wind down. You can buy tart cherry juice. You could incorporate some of these foods as part of your wind down ritual if you wanted. Couple more things. Oh yeah, see, here's more of the ones. So if you have these too close, I am not telling you to never have fast food. I want to be very clear. I want you having fast food and sugary food as you desire, just not too close to bed. Breathing techniques can be helpful. I do not like this one because holding my breath induces palpitations, but there's other ones. There's a variety of kinds. I believe the 4-7-8, I think, is one of the most well-researched ones. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. It's very important that the out is longer than the in and the hold. This is one of the most well-researched ones that is proven to be effective for calming. Like I said, not for me because it induces palpitations, but for more regular people. Oh, thanks, Mo, for following on Twitch. Yes, Kaiser, that's right. Thanksgiving turkey's got the tryptophan. So, other breathing techniques. Belly breathing is a popular one, also known as... Oh my god. I have a weird pain in my throat. I might need to go to the doctor. I swear to God, you guys, if I have nodules. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop soon because my throat really hurts. You guys can read this yourself. Yes, Braven's right. Diaphragmatic breathing, this one especially improves lung capacity because you're working your diaphragm. Also, supplements that you can take, but I encourage you to follow the instructions on the package are melatonin and magnesium glycinate. So 2 things you can get yourself easily, but I highly encourage you to follow the instructions on the bottle. I'm going to show you my pictures and head out. My throat really hurts. Alright, friends. Sorry I'm talking kind of soft. This is from one of my sleep studies. This was an at-home sleep thing. They did 3 nights with this thing on my head. I got this nice picture. Then, here's the real deal. They put these electrodes all over you, especially your head. Makes your hair really disgusting. Because of the electrode gel that they put on. Makes your hair super nasty. Gonna be a long shower. Just about to finish up, Kaiser. This is me in bed at the sleep study. Covered in electrodes with my electrode ponytail. Alright, everybody. I'm going to copy these requests to try to do them tomorrow because I must immediately desist my speaking. I'm going to do the roundtable preview on my way out. Last you'll hear from me, though. I'll pop in to say Mujram after the roundtable preview. On tonight's episode, things that can't die, and other things that can't die.
majestically galloping upon her steed. She's the kingliest king the world's ever seen, though her vocabulary is a bit confused. When it comes to entertainment, she just can't lose. Her Majesty is ready to go. Turn up the lights, let's start the show with special guests and the latest news. It's time for Round Table Talk with Crown and Crew. Crown and Crew.
Why, hello, my dearest and hopefully not undead citizens, and welcome to a very spooky Halloween edition of Round Table Talk with Crown and Crew. I'm your beloved and super relevant to the main plot, King Crown. Please save the anniversary talk until the news section. We have to get through the collab and Delta news first before we get to the good stuff. But I don't wanna! Sheesh, this is worse than when Chime tries to make Mommy number 7 eat her vegetables before she gets dessert. Marion, just because the cardboard we're forced to eat is colored green, doesn't make it a vegetable. Not everything green colored is a vegetable. Is that why Kilo's hair doesn't taste good? No, that's because I haven't had a shower since arriving at the kingdom, and spend most of my time inside a small, poorly ventilated cockpit. Also, please stop trying to eat me. But Mommy number 6 said people love being eaten. Not sure if Rapunzel is into vor, or you're forgetting that she included the word out when describing being eaten. Whichever's worse is probably the correct one. Anyway, my king, we have to go over the news. All of the news, even the mediocre parts. And hey, you'll get to talk about the Resident Evil minigame. You loved that, remember? Oh, right, that was fun. Fine. I suppose a king must love all their citizens, even the disappointing ones. Why did you look at me when you said that? I'm just saying, Wells, you're really letting me down with your lotto numbers. And don't even get me started on your sports predictions. Sheesh, it's almost like you can't see the future. I've been telling you for 10 months I can't. But I know who can see the future. Let's check in with Gotcha forecaster and former main heroine, Marion. How's the current gotcha pulling going, Marion? You're so funny, Mommy number 7. Imagine pulling right before an anniversary. I know, right? You'd have to be dumber than Marion to do that. What? We'll check back in with you at the end of the show for the full gotcha forecast. And now, on to today's news. 'Tis the season for... Majram.